Hi friends, welcome to
Wish You Love Podcast.
I'm Jazmine.
And I'm Marilyn.
And thank you guys so much for tuning in to yet another episode here. For any new friends joining us, this podcast is all about reflection questions, really taking the time to journal, listen to, what I have to say, what Marilyn has to say, and ultimately just going back to yourself and journaling that question, thinking about it, and hoping that with that you guys feel like you're in a community where you can learn and grow and just overall be a part of who we are.
Yeah, in our little community here. And also, if you guys want to be part of the podcast, which is what this episode is about, please give us your stories. And if you need advice, you can send them through our Google form, which is anonymous, or you can give us your name at the end, but it is anonymous, the form. And you can find that in the link in our bios. It's a little like tree link, I think it's called, and it has all the links to our different things, and so that you can find it there. But in this episode, we're going to be answering 2 pieces of advice that 2 of our listeners have written in, and we are so excited. So don't worry, if you have written in, we see it. We will get to it. We're trying to think of the best time to do so. So we're going to do 2 stories today.
Yeah, super excited. Again, something a little different than what we usually do, but nonetheless, good questions, I think that were submitted, and ways. I think these questions, maybe some of you can even relate to, have been in those shoes before or are currently in them.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
At the end of the day, like I said, this podcast is all about reflection and growth. And thank you to those people who submitted them, because I think we'll all be able to reflect and grow with these questions.
I think so.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the first story. So, people who string us along. Hello, Marilyn and Jazmine. I am seeking your advice and would love for you to talk about this on the podcast. Well, here we are. I am still in love with my ex after 7 years of being separated. I want to spend time with her, but she does not always seem to make the time to hang out or talk all the time as well. This is just a tricky situation overall because, like I said, I'm still in love with her, and she knows that. But she has a boyfriend now, and when I was in a relationship, she would interfere and try to make me break up with that person. She continues to tell me things about her relationship when we do talk, and that makes me sick to my stomach, and it is hard to imagine her with someone else. What should I do?
So before we jump into it, I think it's important to say these are just things that Marilyn and I would say to our friends, or our thoughts and opinions. They're not necessarily the right ones or the correct one. I just want to I want to point it out in a way where I hope you guys don't feel pressured or think this is the right way to do things. It's just our way of thinking, and hopefully it can either, you could be like, yeah, I agree, I'll do that, or at least maybe just make you think and reflect a little bit on what we say and make it your own way of handling the situation. But I do want to start off by saying that.
I agree. So it's just our advice. You don't have to take it. Do with it what you please.
Yes.
So what do you think of this, Jazmine? We'll start with you.
So my first thought was, I don't think you guys should be friends. I think that exes, it's weird. I don't know, maybe I'm a weird person, but I'm like, I think exes are not necessarily supposed to be a negative thing either. I think that, every person that comes into your life and that has shared moments with you, even if you're no longer together, or you guys have, decided to end the friendship, the relationship, or whatever the case is, they should never be seen super negatively. But at the end of the day, in this situation, I don't think you guys should be friends. I think that it's not really healthy or good to be friends with an ex, especially if feelings are still there.
Right. If you're still in love with this person, and especially if that person knows and is waving their relationship around and meddling in your relationship, that is not somebody that even deserves you. You deserve to be with somebody, first of all, that will be with you, that will choose you over somebody else. And as well, if they cared about you so much that was I'm not with this person romantically anymore, but I still want them in my life because, you know, like I want that person in my life. Like they mean a lot to me. Like, okay, that's fine. But this person obviously doesn't care enough about you, I don't think, because if they did, there would be boundaries, you know, they would make sure that like, hey, like we can't be friends if you're still in love with me. Like I can't hurt you like that. And on top of that, you know, if let's say even that's out the window, you know, rubbing their relationship and meddling in yours is not somebody who cares about you. And I think if, you know, you should love yourself more to separate yourself completely from that person. I think my advice would be block, delete, forget about that person, mourn that relationship, because clearly 7 years you haven't mourned. 7 years is a long time. Like that is literally almost a decade of your life. And in order for you to move forward and find your real person, because that's not your person, at least that's what I feel, because your person wouldn't do that to you.
No.
In order to move on and like find your person, you need to move on, you know. And in order to do so, at least what I have done is just, you know, delete all the pictures, or at least put it in a file that you won't look at every day. You know, take them off of Instagram, or at least, even if you can't do that, baby steps, mute their post, mute their story, and you guys are still following each other. But I would say unfollow, and even to the next extent block, because 7 years is like a long time. And like you said, an ex doesn't have to be a negative thing. Like you can always have love for a person. Like we had a great time together when I was 16. Like that I'll always cherish those memories. That's different. But 7 years later, like at that point, it's disrupting your life.
Yeah. And if I'm going to be honest with you, or whoever, our friend who submitted this, I don't think you or your ex are ready for a new relationship. And I think getting into new ones is not a healthy way or should be a priority for you both. I think for you, clearly, you know, you weren't ready for that other relationship because she was able to get in and middle in and destroy it. And then whoever this girl is, I don't think she's ready for the relationship she's in right now, because even though she's flaunting and like always talking about that, I don't think it comes with genuine intention. And so therefore, neither of you have fully, like you said, healed from this situation and have been able to really make this more of a memory and not just something that you continue to hold on to. Yeah, so I think those two, right? Definitely get rid of the ex, and learn to grieve above all before even attempting to try something new. You need to grieve and mourn and get over it and find yourself first before you get someone else's feelings. And just, you know, it's another human being. You don't want to bring that over to the next relationship. You want to be fully healed and ready. Yeah,
it's like bringing your dirty laundry into a new canasta. That's like perfectly fine the way it is, and you're like bringing along things that you don't need to bring along, you know. I think it's like so important for people that, you know, go through a breakup, because obviously you were in love with that person, and I think you should treat it as if it was 7 years ago. And what would you do if you just broke up with that person? Because at this point, 7 years later, you're kind of like, well, we didn't just break up, so like how am I supposed to mourn about it? But no, like you should treat it like you just broke up, because clearly 7 years later it's a lot. So it's like hanging out with friends, like talking about it, doing all the steps that we said, blocking, taking them off. Honestly, when I was younger, I really believed in closure, but F closure, like you don't need closure. Like you don't even need to message that person like, hey, moving forward, I'm just gonna, you don't need to say that. Honestly, 7 years later, they don't deserve that.
Yeah. And I mean, this is the beauty of like me and you.
Yeah. Oh, you're going to say closure?
I'm different.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually...
I'm like, I know. Talk to.
I guess it just depends, right? Yeah, that's why I mentioned in the beginning, like, everyone's different. And that's okay. Like, I hope for you guys listening and for our friend who's listening to this, like, you take both of us, and maybe you're more like Marilyn, and you're like, F the closure. Like, you're right. I'm just gonna
cut him off.
For me, it was different. You know, I know that I had a situationship thing that occurred, and nonetheless, it was, you know, very impactful. It had a lot of impact in my life, and I actually closed that chapter this year, and it felt good to. This person just kept trying to be in my life. I don't know if it was intentional. I guess very kind of like this. Like, I don't know if it was intentionally. You know, my boyfriend always tells me, I think he thinks it's a game. And maybe that's what this person is too. It's that satisfaction of stringing people along and it being like a game. Like, ooh, 7 years later, I still have that power. And I think that person in my life is very similar. It was like, ooh, I can hug her and she'll hug me back. Or, you know, like, ooh, even I can DM her and she'll still, like I mentioned in one of the episodes, like, out of, I don't know, being a people pleaser, like, I would still heart it, or I'd thank you, or whatever. But for me, it was that sense of being face to face with that person,
right?
Pulling them to the side and telling them, like, you need, like, here are my boundaries. Like, you cannot do this to me anymore. I'm in a good place in my life right now. I'm in the best relationship I've ever had that I love and that I cherish, and I need you to stop. And that literally led to me telling that person, if you see me respectfully, you don't need to come and say hi to me. Like, you can just treat me as if I was any other student or colleague on campus or stranger. Yeah, like, just treat me with respect. I'll treat you with respect as well, but this needs to stop. And that was my way of putting things to an end, closing that chapter, and ultimately that person got the hint.
Yeah. I think, I agree. Like, you could do one or two things. Like, you don't have to tell them, or you can tell them of like, hey, like, I don't think we can be friends anymore. Like, because you really need to think about yourself. Like, how many more years do you want to waste? Because at this point, it's a waste of not finding your person. Because what if in the end of the day, let's say worst case scenario, you're still in love with this person, it's 20 years down the line, you haven't found somebody because you're like, none of them are like her. Well, how about none of them are like her, thank you God, because none of them are going to string me along. You know what I mean? So, and I know it's difficult to find your person, but having faith and hope and, you know, putting that effort and work out there to find that person, you will. You will. And I'll affirmate that for you. You will find the love of your life, and you will get over this person.
And I hope you know, like, as a heads up, because like I said, I kind of went through something similar. They may not get it at first, and they may still keep trying, or they may hit you with a, but why are you cutting me off? Or what did I do, you know? But this is where you really have to stay true to yourself and have that strength to be like, because this, and that's that, you know? Like, I need to do this for myself so that I can move on to the next chapter of my life.
And remember, too, that this person, you weren't in love with him anymore. This person's still in love with the person. So it is a little different, because what if they get excited that they keep messaging them back? You know what I mean? Because they're still in love. They're like, oh, I still got it. Like, they can come back to me. Type of thing. So it's like, be wary of that, of like, because even if you do get back with this person, let's say best case scenario and what you think is best as of right now, it's like, how could you make up for all that lost time? How could you truly forgive for all those moments that you were sick to your stomach? And then how could you continue a relationship thinking, oh, she can leave me because she's left me before, you know? Or even if it was a mutual breakup, like, how do you know it's a stable one? Because she's walked away before, you know? And, you know, so it's like, I think in the end, whether or not you get closure or not, I think the point that we're trying to make is really put yourself first and cut it off. We both agree to cut it off part.
Yeah. And just take this as a learning experience. Grieve it, learn from it, write it down, journal the pros and cons. Like, I'm sure this person wasn't all negative and cons. There had to be some pros, you know, and
I'm sure they were all pros in their book.
Yeah.
Because that's why they love them still.
Yeah. But ultimately, it's time to cut it off, friend.
And move on. Because that's messed up when people string you along.
Oh, yeah.
That's messed up. Like, yeah. All right. Well, that was our first story. And I hope that our friend finds peace and solace in their life and find their person and find themselves, most importantly. And so now we're going to get into our second story. So I'm going to read it. Hey, Jazmine and Marilyn, I have a question for you guys. How do I stop missing the party life that was taken from me during the COVID lockdown? I'm 22 and lockdown happened right when I turned 19. So I missed that early college party life. And now that I'm a graduate, introvert myself, miss the extroverted party vibes. Oh, okay, I see. So they are an introvert now, and they missed that party vibes and, you know, with COVID, all that COVID took away. Ooh, do you want to answer that one first or me?
You answer this one.
Okay. So this one is a little difficult because I'm not a party gal, but everyone knows about the COVID lockdown and all that it has taken from us. So I would think that the best piece of advice that I would take is grab a group of your friends, girlfriends, guy friends, whatever friends that you have, pick the best place, party place that has your favorite type of music. Because I'm the type of person, like, if I'm going to go to a club, it has to be a Funkadelic club. Like, it has to be a club that I like the music. I'm not dancing to, like, I don't know, Taylor Swift. Like, I'm so sorry. I'm just, like, not one of those girls. So, like, it has to be, like, good. Okay, so you got the place, the music, the friends down. And so I think you need to do, like, a once-a-month thing. Like, since you're an introvert now, you have to get out of your comfort zone, you know? And, you know, feel comfortable. You're just around your friends. You don't have to dance with strangers. Maybe if you get out of your comfort zone. But I think putting in the effort of, like, making that plan. And if you don't have any friends that like doing that, maybe find some friends that do. You know, like, even, like, I've met great friends on Instagram be like, hey, who wants to, like, this was, like, years ago, though. Somebody put, like, hey, who wants to be friends? Like, I need new friends. And then, like, literally I did. And, like, we became best friends and stuff. But, like, you can put, like, hey, who likes to party? Like, hit me up. And, like, or, like, reword that. Because I don't know if there's weirdos on your Instagram. But, like, find your people. Find your party people. Because I think we all have friends in different categories. Yes. We have friends who we go for, like, deep talks. We have friends that are just school friends. We have friends who party. And, like, we all have our different types of friends. So find your party friends. Plan it once a month. Get a good place. Get your spot. And you're like, oh, yeah, I go there every Friday or every 13th of the month. You know, have your little thing. And I think as you do, you take those years back because it sucks that COVID took that from us. They took, like, whatever it took from us, because it took different things from different people. But for you, at the partying, and honestly, 19 is really young. You're 22. I think that's the best time to start partying because 19, you're still a baby. I mean, yeah, you're still a baby. And so it's like now that you're sure of yourself, you know what you feel comfortable in your clothes. You know what makes you feel good. You have your solid friends usually by then. Like 19, you're just out of high school. Like you don't know who's your friends yet. They're all leaving to different colleges. Like I feel like don't think of it as lost time. Think of it as this is my time type thing. That'd be my advice.
I love that. I think my advice is a little different. I do love your advice though because I don't. How do I word it? Partying is not a bad thing. Partying is a lot of fun. I like to party as well, and I love to drink, and I love to socialize in that setting. But my advice with this question is I hope you don't think that's all you have to make up for. Like, I have to party because I missed that out. There's so much more to partying. I think yeah, once a month would be fun. And I think that is good for like the body and the soul and just the energy to like get yourself back out there and have fun in that ways. But I think also find different ways to have fun that doesn't necessarily involve partying. I know that we all think between the age of, I guess, 19, 18 to, I don't know, mid to early 20s, like this is the time where I need to party. Like I should be getting, effed up every weekend or, getting drunk and stuff. But personally, I've slowly learned and have been the type of person where I'm like, I don't need to do that every weekend to have fun. Like, there's so much more to partying. Like, that should be something that should be socially fun here and there, or perhaps once a month or twice a month or whatever, however you roll and how you want to view it. But I think also I encourage you to also find those friends where you can do the fun stuff without partying. Like, let it be, you want to get back into the social activity, there's a lot more than just partying. You can put yourself in a book club if that's what you're into, or a running club or soccer, right? Join a sport, maybe like now post college and high school, that you have fun in and that you can make friends that can do more than just partying with you. So I think that would be my advice. Like, yeah, definitely. I think both, even if you take both of our advices together, I think they're still like really good.
Yeah, and once again, I love how like we're so different. So we have different pieces of advice. So like Jazmine said earlier, take what you like from each of us or both of us or neither of us.
I know. Whatever. Mix it or whatever the case is. At the end of the day, these are just our opinions and our advice.
Exactly. Yeah, but you're still so young. I really hate and I'm going to use the word hate a lot, but I do really dislike this. I hate when people make themselves feel like they're old when they're so young. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like 19 to me is a baby. You're still a teen, like teenager, like come on now. And 20, you're not even legal to do most things. You can't do a lot of things. And like once you're 21, you're like the baby of the adults. You're barely in it. And I just feel like we just need to be so much easier on ourselves on like, our age. Like it doesn't freaking matter. Like even if you just barely started partying at 30, like 30 is not old. Like that's what I'm trying to stress to people, especially younger people. I feel like even when I was younger, not that much, but like I know a lot of people think that once you're at a certain age you can't do things, you're like old. I'm like, what is old? Like to me, like I'm gonna continue doing what I want to do even when I'm like 70. Like what is too old, So when you say like I lost those years, girl, you've lost nothing. Everything happens for a reason. And COVID absolutely sucks and it took so much from us, but it did not take this from you. Like this is your time to party and have fun, or do a book club like Jazmine said.
Or do both.
Yeah. Friday night book club, Saturday night disco.
Yeah.
I actually, after my master's, I do want to do go out more like that, but I am very particular. Like I do want to go to like disco dancing, like funkadelic nights again. Like I want to do those things again because right now focus is on school, but those things do sometimes make you feel alive. Mm-hmm. They're fun.
Yeah, and fun is good. I just hope you have a balance of both.
Yeah.
And don't just,
Yeah, Jazmine talked about that of like, I think it was the 5 years ago episode of like how you were saying like that was like your old self, right? Mm-hmm. Right. So it makes sense why you're very like protective over like, don't overdo it. And then like, since I haven't like overdid it, I'm like, oh yeah,
I'm ready.
Yeah, exactly.
I just think a good balance of anything in life is good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Party it up, but also moderately find other, don't just surround yourself with people that only party. Mm-hmm. It's not healthy.
Yeah, that's not healthy.
Do a little bit of both. Yeah. And you didn't lose anything, my friend. You just hit a pause button. That's all. And that sometimes that happens in life.
And you need pauses.
Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe, I mean, I really do believe that everything happens for a reason. Maybe that was not your safe time to be partying. Maybe you were too young, maybe too naive, maybe there was people around you. Who knows what the reasoning was, but this is your time. And make sure that when you do party, it's with people that you can really trust. Really trust. I know I said the whole Instagram thing, but like, make sure that you have somebody that will take care of you, especially because there's too many people out there that are evil, and like, you don't know if they're going to try to slip something in your drink or try to do something. Like, that's just a disclaimer that I have to put in, because you never know. You have to be safe.
Yeah.
Be careful.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Thank you guys for sending in both of your guys' stories. And be sure to send us in your guys' stories if you guys need advice or want to just chat with us. Also, be sure to follow us on all our socials at Wish You Love Pod. And above all else, we wish you love.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.